Well, obviously, you're listening to Radio FM88 Australia, and we're broadcasting from the studios in Brisbane. On a Thursday night in Queensland, we don't go to daylight saving, so it's constant 7 o'clock right across the whole spectrum. And we go simulcast live on radio and live through Facebook, YouTube, and X. Afterwards, we go up onto Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Amazon, Siri. Is it Siri? Alexa, that's the one. Yeah, play Radio FM88 Australia. And so, without further, of course, the lady at the very, very top is the co-host, and that's none other than Andrena. And it's a good morning to you.
Morning, Jeffrey, and morning, everybody who's tuned in to Dreaming the New Dream, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, and welcome to Eloise Bennett, who is in Glastonbury today. Welcome, Eloise.
Thank you so much. It's a real honour to be on here with yourself and Jeffrey. So thank you for inviting me to the show today, and I'm really excited during my journey.
Yeah. So today is the 12th of the 12th, 24. So for those that are into portals and all sorts of things like that, we're in the 1212 portal. Anyway, without further ado, Eloise is a dear friend of mine, and I've had the pleasure of working with her on many levels. She's an international spiritual teacher, put my teeth in, and you share many, many gifts and talents, and you were ordained as a Magdalene priestess. You're a Seraphina channel, and you're the creator of the Magdalene Rose Healing Oracle cards, which are absolutely beautiful. And your passion is to help others on their pathway, whether it be spiritual or, wherever they need help. So Eloise comes highly recommended. So I can't wait for you. I know some of your story, but I know it too. Age 2, you could see into other realms, and you saw fairies and angels and star beings. So let's start at the very beginning. What part of the world were you born?
Okay, so I was born in Luton in the UK,
Right.
and that's a really good question about where I was born, because that's where it all started. Are you happy for me to share that little bit?
Yeah. So Jeff's gonna show where Luton is. That's Bedfordshire, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
I've never been there, but
anyway. Home of the Formula One, isn't it?
Well, I was born there, but that wasn't really where I lived.
No.
So the reason... Oh, sorry.
No, because I was thinking like Haverfordwest. I thought that was where you grew up. So obviously not.
I'll share that journey a little bit later on. So my birth was... the reason I was born in Luton is because I had a very difficult birth. And my mum never really shared about the difficult birth. I don't think any mum wants to tell their children that.
Yeah.
They want to go, it was beautiful, it was lovely, I couldn't wait for you to come. And, for those that are mothers know that it can be challenging. But what I remember about the birth was I was above my mother's body. She'd been induced. She was not happy that she was induced because she felt I wasn't ready to arrive. And after she was induced, she was walking in the gardens in Hertfordshire in a very small rural hospital, and I was above her body, and I could feel my heart rate was increasing. And basically the next thing that I remember is being above my mum's body in an ambulance with my mother screaming, "Turn the bloody lights off." My daughter was not ready to come yet, going down the M1, M25, heading to Luton because there was difficulties of me arriving. And I remember this. I remember coming in, or not wanting to come in to planet Earth. And I remember being born after some difficulties and going into the arms of a beautiful midwife and then taken to Skaboo. And that's where I was for a few days until we went back to our little hospital in Hertfordshire. So I even remember the entry to planet Earth.
Do you? Because there's not many, I'm not aware of many people that they can actually say before they came in, when they come in, and like watching all what's going on. So
I know, it's remarkable. And I remember a very young child sitting, we lived on a small holding, and I remember sitting amongst the animals thinking, what am I doing on this planet? How did I get here? I was
Quite.
stars, and I just thought, this is not my home. I knew it wasn't my home, and I just felt like I'd fallen or dropped out of the mothership, and I was just waiting for them to come and pick me up.
And you're still waiting.
I'm still waiting, but I'm quite happy that I'm here now. I'm really, really, really happy to be here on Earth. I love planet Earth, and I love being here for service, but it took me quite a few years to get to that point.
Totally, totally. So when you saw all these little things when you were young, were your mum and dad spiritually aware that they were able to help you understand what you were seeing? Because I know a lot of people say, oh, you didn't see that, or go and play, and it's imaginary, so
well, I had the perfect duality, really, because my grandma was what we call a rose. My grandma was into biorhythms, homeopathy, herbalism. She was like a Magdalene or a witch, whatever you want to call it. She didn't do spells, but she was a wise woman. Now, my mum would always say, oh, that's good, darling, that the angels are with you. Well, it's lovely you see the fairies. And my mum she wasn't overly too encouraging, but she never put me down. However, my father said to me, because my father was very open, he was an indigo child, and he was so scared of his gifts. The last thing he wanted was a little girl saying, Daddy, there's a ghost behind you. He just So he told me when I got to about the age of 7, if you keep talking about angels, fairies, and these things, the men in white coats are going to come and they will lock you up. And from that day, around the age of 7, very sadly, I stopped seeing fairies or angels. I stopped seeing my grandfather was in spirit. Everything stopped. And I became a normal child until I was 18, but a very sad, depressed, unhappy one, because I knew I was different, and I had no access to my guide team because I had asked them to go away because I was frightened that I would be put in a mental asylum.
Yeah. And I remember years ago, that's how it used to be, isn't it? You were told you'd be locked away.
Yeah. And then around the age of 18, 19, my mum and dad went their separate ways. And I was given the opportunity to either stay with my dad or move with my mum. And I took the opportunity to move in with my mum. And literally overnight, I must have felt safe. I started to see ghosts again. I started to see into the other realms. It was like the veil had been, as soon as I moved in with my mum, the veil left and I started to see spirit again. I started to hear the voices of my guardian angels and to start seeing in the other realms.
So, excuse me. So what were the steps then that have got you on this pathway? Share how,
Okay, so first of all, it was very scary because the house that my mum had chose to move into was about 300 years old, and it happened to be a haunted house.
Of course.
And it was haunted by a poltergeist that had lost his wife. We don't know the circumstances. Maybe this gentleman lost. Well, I think I do know the circumstances. I feel that there was an accident that she died. And it was all covered up because we're talking back in the 1700s. Do you get what I mean? And I started going on this, exploring it, looking in the records, going to the records office. I could feel this being. I thought I was going a bit mad because at the time my partner had just gone out to Bosnia. It was time of the Bosnian War. And I was obviously under pressure, worried about my partner. And I started getting these dreams. And the first dream I had was about amethyst. So I looked up what that meant. What does amethyst mean? And it said loss of a partner. So that really freaked me out. I thought, I'm going to lose my partner. And I was seeing all of these things. And at that point, I really did think I was going mad. So my mum called 2 people. She called one lady who was a white witch, who was an army wife. And she called a spiritual lady from a spiritualist church. They came to the house and they were coming to sort of cleanse the house. And then every time I looked like that, because I could see the poltergeist, the woman said, yeah, you're right. He's there. His name is Charlie Dunn, and his son is William Dunn, and his wife is Mary. I mean, this white witch was excellent. But she said to me, you need to move out of here because it's not safe for you to live in this house. So, of course, that freaked me out even more, thinking, and my dad then starts, oh, it's an evil house. Don't stay there. Come home to me. I thought, well, this is hilarious after my dad saying, don't believe in these things. So anyway, these ladies were really kind. They were like, we'll buy frankincense, use salt. If you're not going to move out, these are the different things you can do, aromatherapy oils. So I thought, well, I've got to do something. I started to research. This man did actually exist. He lived in the house. I found that. But the more I researched, he got angry and he was really sort of attacking me, let's say, from the other realm. So I turned to meditation. And I got this little book on the Kabbalah and on meditation. And as I started to work on meditation, I started to meet with my guides and my angels. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. And cutting a long story short about the poltergeist, because it would take me hours to tell you the whole journey. But what happened is through meditation, through healing, through me learning about sacred spaces, I was able to help the spirit, the soul of this lovely gentleman who had lost his wife and child, to go to the light. I learned spirit releasement. I learned mediumship. And that was the beginning of it all. And then the house was very, very peaceful. But it was very dramatic before that. And well, in fact, before that, the White Witch had said, I mean, this is another thing. I've been dreaming about amethyst, right? The White Witch phoned me up and she said, there's something in the chimney of the house for you. And I said, what? She said, oh, the chimney's in the house. And I was like, well, yeah, but they're all wallpapered over because it's a very old house. She said, oh, you got to go in the chimney. So me and my mum, and it's a rental accommodation. Me and my mum are peeling off the wallpaper. We found this old chimney in my mum's bedroom. It's totally full of soot. Don't ask me how long it had been in there. So I'm clearing it out and I'm having a bit of a moan. Oh, I don't know what this woman's on about. What am I looking in the chimney for? It's ridiculous. 18-year-old just being fed up. Anyway, I get the poker and I go like this in all of this soot. And when I lift up the poker, oh my God, on the end of the poker was a pendant with 2 droplets of amethyst on it. And it was a Victorian pendant of Mary, the wife that had died.
Wow.
It really freaked me because I'd been dreaming about the amethyst. And the loss wasn't the loss of my partner.
No,
the loss of Mary. Mary had fallen down the back steps of the garden and broken her neck. And it was like really weird, freaky stuff that you can't make up.
No,
You
no.
can't make stuff up. But it made me realize there was so many things that happened. It made me realize that this was the truth. Made me remember being a child. And then my mum used to say, oh, you're always healing birds. You're always praying to Jesus for help with anyone. You were always touching people. You were always giving people messages. So I remembered then I was able to wake up. She even used to say to me, she'd make dinner. And before dinner every night, I wouldn't come in because I'd be leaving like offerings to the gods. I mean, how does a 3-year-old know to leave offerings to the gods?
Quite.
So yeah, I was a very interesting child that had all of these gifts that reawakened.
Yeah, but that's wonderful because it makes you who you are now and all what you're doing to help people, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I think the next thing that freaked me out was I decided to go to Avebury for the summer solstice, and I drove to Avebury in my little Mini. My mum was with me and my sister was with me. We slept in the back of my car. We got up for sunset and the Druids were there. And as we go into the ceremony, my mum obviously saw something in me and she was encouraging it. And we go into this circle and they said, oh, who wants to be initiated into the, the Carabry, circle at Avebury. And I thought, well, I don't know anything about what that is. So my mother just pushes me into this circle of beautiful druids. I ends up having this ceremony, which I had no idea what was going on. And then when we left to drive back to Wales, because by that time I was living in Wales, I had this reading done by a lady on the side of the road, and she pulls out 4 cards and she goes, "Oh my God, this woman's got 4 dragons." I didn't know what that meant. It was earth, air, fire, and water, obviously. But then everyone was running up to me. Remember, I'm 18 years old. Can you charge my crystal? Can you charge this for me? And I was like, what on earth is going on? Because I had no idea. But these were older people that were already working in healing and crystals and things like that. They obviously saw something in me that I had no idea. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know how to bless something. I'm 18. So I just hold it, and I was just blessing. And all these people were around me. So I've just had some very strange things happen,
But it's lovely that you had your mum there supporting you in the background, because there's a lot of people that don't get that support, do they?
My mum was excellent, and so was my gran. And when I look back now, the things my gran taught me about herbalism and biorhythms, my nana did tea leaf readings and things like that. So they were very open. We grew up on a small holding. We grew all our own vegetables. It was a real amazing life. And thank you, Jeff, for putting those wonderful pictures up. And I tell you, another spooky thing that happened in Avebury years later, a couple of years later, I went to Avebury with the White Witch, and she said, "Oh, you can sit on that stone and you can ask for a wish." And at the time, I was studying tarot cards. That stone there, the one that Jeff's point, that stone, excellent. And she said, "You can ask for a wish." So most people would wish for something for themselves. I didn't. I wished that my psychic abilities would activate that much that I would remember and know how to do the tarot cards. And I had the tarot cards with me, and I had this book of the 78 cards, and that was my wish on that stone, to learn the tarot cards. Well, gee whiz, I don't know what happened. It must have downloaded from the Akash, or past lives of working with them, of course. By the time I got back to Pembrokeshire, Wales, I knew all of the tarot cards, and I started my tarot card business. So this was probably about 20, but I've been studying them since I was 18. So, wow. Yeah. So the Oracle began.
Wow. Well, go on, keep going.
Okay.
So where did you go from there? Because obviously we'll talk about your Oracle cards at the end.
So I was really lucky. We lived in Hertfordshire. So after being, coming in and living in that beautiful small holding in Hertfordshire, around the age of 11, my mum and dad decided they wanted to move to Wales. So just before the summer holidays, my mum and dad said, "How would you feel about moving to Wales?" to me and my brothers and sisters. And I went, "I don't want to move to Wales. I'm really happy here in Hertfordshire." And they were like, "Well, we're moving to Wales. We're going in the summer holidays." So I had to leave my home, leave the small holding, leave the school, leave everything, and move to Pembrokeshire. But that was a good thing, I can see now, because Pembrokeshire, with the Baselli Mountains and with the ocean, excuse me, and an easier way of life, it really supported my spiritual growth, My little lovely flu symptoms are coming up.
Yeah.
It's brilliant that we share everything, Andrena. Excuse me. Give me a minute. I'm sure it will clear.
Yeah,
yes. So I moved to Pembrokeshire and I started to study complementary therapies. So I studied everything I could. Reiki. Reiki was a big activation for me. I think before I did Reiki, I was always feeling like I was dropped off. My father felt like he didn't know what to do with me, autistic, ADHD, off the freaking Richter scale. He didn't know how to deal with me. And then he saw the book Care and Feeding of Indigo Children by Doreen Virtue. And he bought me that book for Christmas, and he read that book. And a big shift occurred with me and my father, because I could forgive him, and he realized he wasn't such a bad parent, that I was actually very unique and I needed a very interesting kind of nurturing and caring.
Yeah.
And that was a start for me then. I learned Reiki, which gave me a way to protect myself, because before that I was very, very sensitive. I was seeing ghosts everywhere, being an empath, feeling everybody's feelings. It was a traumatic way. Wherever I would go, I would sit with somebody and I would feel what was going on. I could see their past lives. I could see ghosts around me. I was working for the forces at the time. I was a civil servant and working in RAF Broady, and God, I was just seeing so much, you know. So I did the Reiki. It protected me. It grounded me. I went on to do color therapy, psychic counseling, aromatherapy, which I loved, meditation, you know, sound healing. And that really opened me up. And I also met so many other people that were on my wavelength. So instead of feeling abnormal and outsider and being rejected, I felt, okay, it's okay to be like this. There are other people that have these gifts, and it's really okay, you know.
And that's it. The more you be who you are, the more you attract your soul tribe, or the vibes, isn't it? So yeah. Right,
exactly.
fabulous. Keep going.
Right, what do I start next? What do I do next? Let's think about what's the best thing to talk about next. Okay, so I think then the next dramatic thing was when my father passed away, I would say. So my father passed away. I was really excited that me and my ex-husband were getting a posting to Dorset. You know where you are. We were getting posted to Blanford. And I had been my father's carer for many, many years, but I was really, really excited. I was getting posted to Blanford. I was getting out of Pembrokeshire. I was going to be experiencing nightlife, etc., etc. Now, by this time, I already had an established Reiki business. I was already doing tarot readings. And I had a little practice alongside working for the army. So during the week, I'd cook meals. I was a head chef in the officers' mess. I'd cook for the army. And during the weekends, I'd see my clients. And then what happened is I decided I wanted to dedicate my life to doing this work more. I left the job in the forces and I started to be a cook in a school for children. And everyone was just looking down at me. What are you doing working as a cook in a school? You know, what are you doing? You've got an esteemed job here. You know, you're cooking for royalty. You're cooking for officers. You know, you're cooking for the Queen or Prince Charles or whatever, or King, you know. And I thought there's nothing more important than making healthy meals for children. So I went into the schools. I was a cook in the schools, and where everything was convenience food and we were buying in whatever it was, pies, you know, chicken, you know, everything was convenience. Yeah. I thought, no, I'm changing the menus and I'm cooking everything fresh. So if there was chicken pies on the menu, we weren't having pucker pies. We were having healthy chicken pies that I'd made, you know. So my work was then working in the school, cooking healthy food for children. And they used to come up to me because the kids, right, they're still in touch with fairies. Miss, I saw the fairies outside around the apple tree. And I said, oh, that's the apple tree fairy. Or, Miss, my Nana died at the weekend. I think she's with the angels. And I would say, yeah, she is with the angels. Or, Miss, I could see a ghost in the playground. You know, so I just listened to these children. I was very careful of how I worded things. But I became a little, you know, the cook became a little guide for the children in the school, you know, and they could share their stories. And I played angel music in the kitchen and as you would. And it was an amazing journey. So that was that part of the closure in Pembrokeshire. We got the posting to Dorset and I was so excited to be going. And I had 2 weeks to go to Dorset. And I think my father's job was done, whatever that, well, it was done.
Yeah.
But when I told him I was so happy to be going to Blandford and to Dorset, and I was no longer going to be there to be his carer, very unexpectedly, he passed over. So I say unexpectedly because he wasn't ill, but I was at that point reading Diana Cooper's books, and I had this little book, A New Light on Angels. And in the back of the book was this little meditation to clear the karma of the family lineage. So I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. I'd like to clear the karma of my family lineage. And I said to my sister Lorraine, I said, oh, this is good. Because my dad seemed a little bit fed up and depressed. I now know he was fed up and depressed because he was an indigo. He could feel everything like me, you know. But he wasn't expressing his soul because he weren't allowed in these days.
No.
So I did this meditation to clear the karma of the family. Thank God I told my sister about it, because she said, perhaps that will be happier afterwards. I do the flipping meditation, and I can say this now because this is like nearly 30 years ago.
I can imagine.
I do the meditation to free my father in the lineage, expecting he's going to be really happy and everything. No, my father passed over the day after me doing this meditation, you know. I couldn't believe it. But you know, as he was having this cardiac arrest and leaving the planet, and my brother was trying to phone, you know, to phone the ambulance, he just said, get Eloise. All I want is Eloise. And I got to his house. I was calling in the angels. We were holding him. Obviously, he went through the normal route of going to the hospital and all of that kind of stuff. But my life totally fell apart because not only had I lost my father, now I'm having to leave my family in Wales to move to Blandford, to be living inside on an army base, leaving my practice, leaving everything. And the day after I got there, my ex-husband got posted and went not posted, but got a you know, there was more wars on, and he had to go basically. So I had a major dark night of the soul. I didn't know what to do, and I'm just Googling. Well, I wasn't Googling then because I don't know if we had Google, but I'm just looking online. I had Diana Cooper's books. I was following them, and I thought, oh, let's see if Diana Cooper has a website. She has this website, and it says Training Angels and Ascension. I said, oh, what's that? So I'm looking, and I was already doing angels and Reiki, but I look and I see this picture on her website of Saint-Germain. And I was like, oh my goodness, Saint-Germain. I know this man. I know him, you know. So this picture of Saint-Germain, who is now one of my main masters, popped up. And I thought, right, I'm going to phone the number. I'm going to see if I can get on the course. So I phoned the number expecting to get Diana Cooper's PA, and it's freaking Diana Cooper herself. I'm like, hello, this is Eloise. And, you know, it's like, hello, Diana Cooper. And I was like, oh my God, I was so shy. I was like, oh my God, I phoned Diana Cooper's house. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to bother you, Diana, but I've been reading your book and I'd really like to come on your Angel and Ascension class. And she said, I'm really sorry, it's full. There's no spaces. So I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, that's a bit strange because I really thought I was meant to be there. And she said, we put you on the waiting list. There'd be time next year. But no, within 2 days, Diana's PA were ringing me up and saying that we can fit you in. It's on Sunday. So let's imagine this is Tuesday. I called her on Friday and the course is on Sunday. And the course was in Somerset. Anyway, I make this journey, this pilgrimage to go on this angel course. And I get there. Well, actually, the angel course had already run. I ended up being on the Ascension class. Diana doesn't even know how that happened because you're not even supposed to, you've got to do the first parts of the course. Anyway, it happened. I get in this wonderful healing manor, and there's probably, 30 people there. And these are seasoned spiritual teachers. They've been teaching yoga for 30 years, or they're doing Reiki, or they've got their own healing centers. And I thought, oh my God, I'm such a fraud. such a fraud, because we go straight into it and Diana's like, okay, I'd really like you all to lead a meditation. I was like, lead a meditation? Gee whiz. I've only been reading your meditations in the book, and you want me to lead one? I thought, I can't deal with this. I'm getting in my car and I'm going home. And the group, some of them were really putting me down because I was so young and inexperienced. But there was one guy there. He was excellent. Graham, his name was. Thank you, Graham, if you ever watch this. I'm so grateful to you. He said, Eloise, he said, the meditation's on Archangel Michael. You know who Archangel Michael is. He said, lead us through a grounding and connecting to Archangel Michael the way you'd like it. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. So I was really nervous. Obviously, I was shaking. I was in a right mess because of the persecution of past lives. But I did it. And when I opened my eyes after doing this meditation, I looked at them all and they all had smiles on their faces. Graham said, oh my God, that's amazing. You just channeled Archangel Michael. And I was like, what did I? So I finished my training with Diana. And Diana approached me and said, did I want to be a teacher at a school? I was like, you've got to be joking. I'm a beginner. There's no way I can teach at your school. She said, I would like you to be a principal teacher. I said, I can't do it. I was a real scaredy cat. Public speaking and everything really scared me. I couldn't do it. So after 6 months of practicing, Diana said, you really need to do a workshop. I'm like, I can't. I'm too scared. She said, you need to do a workshop, Eloise. You've got to face this. So I called my mum. I was still living in Dorset. I called my mum in Pembrokeshire, said, Diana said I need to do a workshop. She said, well, I'll help you. I'll come and do teas and things like that. So I tried to book my normal venue that I would use when I was co-teaching Reiki with my Reiki master. He wasn't available. I thought, oh, good, that's great. I can't do it. The venue's not available. Anyway, my mum knew I needed to be doing this. She rang round. She found a venue. She said, it's done. You got your venue. And this is the days where you didn't have really, I wasn't online and things like that, didn't have a website. You'd send out you'd stick something up in Quick Save or Tesco's, a little poster, and you send out a booking form. You'd wait for a check. And that's how people booked in. It was really, it was a really way of doing it. Anyway, I thought, well, I could handle 4 people because I'm a beginner. So I was like, angels, please only send me 4 because I'm really scared. Anyway, I don't know how it happened. I had 40 people on the course. They were coming from London, Liverpool, Manchester. I thought, oh my days, shit, they're going to be they're making this big travel, this big journey to Pembrokeshire. They're going to be so disappointed. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Anyway, I did the workshop. My mum was great. She was like tissue angel and she was making the teas and coffee. But the workshop was profound. And everybody had such an amazing time. I realized, oh, okay, I can teach about angels. I can do this. And that's when I went back to Diana and I said, Diana, you asked me 6 months ago, did I want to teach at your school and be a principal teacher? I would love to. If I can still do that, if you'll still have me, I would love to teach for you. And I taught for her at the school for 14 years. I also organised a lot of the reunions, some of which were overseas in different countries, which I'll lead to with the Seraphim healing in a minute. And yeah, I'm so grateful to Diana Cooper because she gave me the most incredible grounding and foundation of how to keep people safe, secure, protected. The work she gave at her school made me be the teacher I am today because she was incredible. And then during that time, then I trained with Doreen Virtue. I trained here in Glastonbury, where Doreen came and we did the angel therapy cards. I flew out to Laguna Beach and I did mediumship with Doreen. And I didn't, when I asked my guides and angels, did I need to do this training? They said, no, because you've been a medium and a psychic and clairvoyant, from a child. Yeah. But this is about you going and having fun. You having fun with other angel teachers. you going and having, going out and meeting your tribe, really, your dolphin pod. And so I worked there for Doreen for a while. I would be support. I would be a tissue angel if she was ever in the UK. I would be on her team, supporting and helping and things like that. And then I think the next profound thing was going to Mount Shasta. Diana Cooper was doing she was doing the Weizak Festival, and she wanted to go out to Mount Shasta, and it was new for her to go to America. And I said to her, I thought, gosh, can I say this? I said to her, would you like company to go to America? And she said, what? She said, what, you'd travel with us to America? I said, well, why don't we take a group? Why don't we take a team of students out? So a group of 22 of us went to Mount Shasta in 2007. We were support staff for Diana. And during that particular Weizak Festival, Diana had a stall, and I was doing readings on the stall with her Atlantis cards. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then in our free time, when I was going up to the mountain to meditate, that's when the download came for, the Seraphim healing. Because before that, when I'd done meditations with Diana and we had to check who our guardian angel was, I got the word Seraphina, but nobody was talking about Seraphina. I thought, I've obviously got it wrong, because everyone else was having other angel names. And I was very insecure because always being put down as a child for doing this work. So I thought, oh, well, I've got this angel that's Seraphina. Don't know who she is. But when I went to Mount Shasta, she really started to come forward. She said she was a Seraphim angel. She said that she was working with the divine love of the Creator. She said that she was working with the ascension of the planet. And at the same time, Doreen started to write about Seraphina in her oracle cards, and Diana started to get channelings. And she said, Eloise, she said, do you realize who you're working with? I said, yeah, Seraphina, an angel that works with the diamond white light. She's a healing angel, she's working with the ascension of the planet. She said, yes. Do you really know who you're working with? And Seraphina said to me that I had to channel this healing modality. So I started to channel Seraphim healing, which is an emanation of color, frequency, and sound. So we're bringing together color, frequency, and sound through energy healing, through sacred mandalas, through essential oil, and through crystals. It's almost like an Atlantean form of healing. Mm. We're using all of the healing from the temples, but with the Seraphim angels. So I started to write it, but I seemed to have a little bit of writer's block. And then in 2014, I left the Diana Cooper School because I wanted to pursue this work. And my relationship with my ex-fiance had fallen apart. My 2 cats had passed over. There was really big shifts. And I thought, there's been a real death in my life. What now? What will I do? And I don't know quite why, but I've been traveling overseas a lot teaching. I've been going to America, Holland, Finland, Greece, Cyprus. I was teaching a lot of the Diana Cooper School stuff, my own stuff. I was traveling 2 weeks a month. And the driving from Pembrokeshire to London or to the airports, it was getting a bit too much for me. So I had this revelation of, what if I travel from Bristol Airport and I do a stopover in Glastonbury before I fly? So rather than having an airport hotel, I'll drive to Glastonbury, which is, say, 3 hours from Wales. I'll have a little sort of rest and recuperation, fly from Bristol, do my business overseas for 10 days, and then I'll fly back into Bristol and hang out in Glastonbury. Excuse me. And what started to happen is, after getting back to Glastonbury, before I had to travel to back home to Pembrokeshire, my heart was breaking. I just thought, I cannot leave Avalon. I can't go home to Pembrokeshire. It's not my home anymore. I knew that Glastonbury was my home. And I just decided to give my whole life up in Pembrokeshire. My family thought I was more nuts than they already thought I was. Everyone was like, what on earth are you doing? I packed up my 5-bedroom house. I sold my healing centre. I packed up my 5-bedroom house. Everything went into storage. And I decided I was coming to Glastonbury. And I had a friend here who had an Airbnb, John and Meredith of the Divine Light Centre. And John knew I always wanted to move here. And he said, Eloise, don't push. You don't just push to get to Avalon. It's not something you do. He said, Avalon has to create an opening. So I went to the Chalice Well. I did a little ceremony at the Chalice Well. And I asked Lady Avalon, is there a space? Should I be coming? And I did this kind of prayer and asked for a space. I walked down the high street, and who is sitting outside the G&P or the Crown? It's John Meredith. And I said, oh, I've got this little ceremony. You know, I want to come to Avalon. He says, oh, I've told you before, Eloise, you don't come unless there's a space. I said, well, I'm trusting there's going to be a space. And within, I think, 2 hours, John had called me back to say, hey, I had these bookings in the Divine Light Centre, but my guides, the guides and angels that overlight the Divine Light Centre, have told me to offer you this space. You're meant to go in the Divine Light Centre. So I accepted. I was so grateful. Lady Avalon had created this space. And I went into the Divine Light Centre from November to March, where at this time I wrote my Seraphim healing course and promoted that. I started to walk the land of Avalon, and then the Magdalene code started to come through. And I love that Jeffrey's put the picture of the tour up there, because that was the next journey. After the 6 months in the Divine Light Centre, I'm phoning my friend Anna, who had an Airbnb in Ashwell Lane, to see if she had space for one of my students to stay over. And I said, you don't know of anywhere to stay, do you? I said, because my tenancies come to an end. My holiday rental has come to an end with John. And I'm really looking forward to looking for somewhere to stay. And she says, actually, the cottage has come up with us. You can stay with us. And then she moved me into the large house, and she said, well, you're on a week's contract because the house is for sale. Well, I was absolutely blessed. I got, I think, nearly 6 to 7 years in Ashwell Lane with Anna and Simon. And that's where the Oracle, the Magdalene Oracle, began.
Right.
Because I walked the land around the Tor, Wiriel Hill, the Chalice Well, the Abbey. All of my Magdalene codes and Christ codes and Sophia codes reactivated. And that's when the Magdalene Oracle downloaded. I thought I was writing an oracle on the Seraphim, but it wasn't. The Seraphim was just a way to give me confidence. And then it took 7 years then to bring forth the Magdalene Oracle, because I'm dyslexic and ADHD and autistic. I never thought I could do it. But I had the most amazing editor, Lindsay, and she helped me to create the Magdalene Oracle. And that was always my dream, being an oracle and a tarot reader, you know, of 25 years, to be able to create my own oracle. And
turn them around the other way so people can see some of your beautiful pictures.
So they're roses, and they are, so each one is a rose, and there's a course related. It took 7 years to write, but every card, or most of the cards, have a course related to them. So if somebody picks a card, they can go on my website or on my Teachable platform, and they can do this course related to it.
Right.
So because I've been doing readings for so many years and being a coach as well, I thought it's no good doing tarot readings and being a fortune teller, because if people don't shift the way they're moving through life, if they don't heal the blocks, the highest potential that I am predicting will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
because, and nothing's set in stone anyway, but I knew I needed to create something that could heal and help people. So every card is a teaching in itself. Every card has an essential oil, a crystal, an affirmation, and an invocation. So when I do an oracle card reading with these cards, then people have steps and things that they can do to help them get to reach their destination, to reach their goals, if they want to implement the teachings. So I was really, really happy to create them. And they were launched on July the 22nd, 2022, Magdalene's Feast Day. And I had a beautiful group of ladies of Magdalene celebrating with me who did the Magdalene Rose Oracle course. And when the ladies did the course, they said they were the most easiest cards they've ever been able to read in their life. They are all out now in the world as Magdalene Oracles, sharing my work. And yeah, it was an amazing journey. So that's a very small piece of my journey of how I became a Magdalene Oracle.
Amazing. And you also look after the chapel as well, don't you?
I do. I'm lucky enough to be a volunteer at the Magdalene Chapel. I only cover for my friend Clive when he's away, when he's overseas. But yeah, I am a guardian of the chapel, and I feel very, very connected and very honoured to be a custodian and guardian there, alongside all the other custodians and guardians of the St. Margaret Mary Chapel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely little sanctuary, and every time I come back, I've always popped in there. It's just
it's amazing. It's so healing, so healing. Yeah.
Beautiful space. Okay, so so what workshops and what have you got coming up next? Because I know you do so many different things, I can't keep up with you.
Oh, bless you. Well, I'm in service, so generally whatever anyone requests. But actually today, because it's 12/12, I have the Seed of Mary Magdalene activation. And this activation is when somebody feels they're part of that Magdalene tribe, when they feel they're part of that lineage, and they can reactivate the Magdalene codes within them. And it's pre-recorded because obviously I'm here with you guys now. So it's pre-recorded up on my Teachable platform. People can sign up and download the meditation. And at 12 o'clock today, I'm going into an etheric temple for an hour with whoever signs up, and they'll be receiving the attunement and everything in that space at 12. And then I'm heading out to Cyprus because I live part of the time in Cyprus. And I'm a priestess of Aphrodite as well. So I'll be doing
Jeffrey. Sorry, Jeff. It's the almhouses. Mary Magdalene's Chapel in the almhouses, which is next door to that one.
You're on the right hand side, isn't it? You're down the laneway.
Yeah, but you're showing the big.
It'd probably be St. Margaret Mary Chapel, I think, Jeffrey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I've got the Aphrodite Shining Star workshop that will be out in Cyprus because, of course, there's a lot of Christ and Magdalene codes there. The disciples, Lazarus, let's say, was in Larnaca, where I live. So, yeah, I've got the Aphrodite works. And then there's going to be a whole new program next year. I have the Magdalene Rose Healing Program where people can sign up to be a Magdalene Rose healer. Which is three levels. The first level is self-healing through the Magdalene. The second level is practitioner level through the Magdalene. And the third level is to become a Magdalene Oracle. And there's going to be some new surprises because I always love creating. So during Yuletime and Christmas, I'm going to be creating lots of new courses. And I'm going to be working with my graphic designer on the second edition of the Magdalene Oracle. So we're going to be updating it with the new teachings, and they will be launched probably in springtime next year because the first edition have all sold out.
Have they? So if anybody wants any, can't get any at this moment.
If anyone wants some, do reach out, and you can go on a waiting list. And as soon as they're printed, we'll get back in touch.
Right, brilliant. Yeah. So I believe
back to Cyprus. Hang on a sec. Back to Cyprus. There's Aphrodite Rock, and then there's Aphrodite Bath.
There is, and I absolutely love it. I did the cultural route there, Jeffrey, a couple of years ago. So I spent 3 months with another priestess, and we went to all of the cultural route of Aphrodite, every single temple, every single place, like the rock, Aphrodite's rock, which is actually where I do my attunements for the Aphrodite shining star. And then, as you say, up top you have the Aphrodite baths. I mean, it's incredible land, incredible.
So I take it then you went and had, oh, hang on, I don't want to be too cheeky. You went to Adonis's pool as well?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. That's quite an insight, the Adonis's pool, isn't it? Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, done that one.
Yeah.
And that, that pool of water, I got a photo there, and I got these 2 massive big orbs. Massive orbs. Yeah.
It's very healing there, Jeffrey, isn't it? Did you notice the heat? Well, obviously it's the water, right? Healing is the water is so healing for us. Yeah.
Well, considering the countryside is pretty dry, and then you come to a little oasis, and you go in there, and of course that's all that the nature growth around it. But these big orbs, they had intricate patterns in them. Really amazing. Yeah.
Like sacred geometry in that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'd love to see them. If you've got a copy of those, I'd love to see them if you still have photos. Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'd have to go dig through and find them. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. But at Aphrodite's rock there, just above it is Apollo's temple, isn't it?
Yes, there is, and there's lots of different temples there. In fact, I love because you've got Hades' temple there, where the male priests, the priests of Apollo were trained, and you've got the different temples where the Aphrodite priestesses were trained as well. It's absolutely incredible when you go around. And in fact, the strange thing is, when I was there last time, I wondered why I'd moved to the village I was in. I thought, out of all the places, because I've been going since 2009, and I have a rental home over there where I go. It's a bit of sabbatical. I do my writing and things like that. And I felt Aphrodite so strong there. And when I was there last month, I discovered on the beach, which is 10 minutes walk from my home, on the cliff, I kept thinking, I'm sure there's an Aphrodite temple there. And everyone's like, no. And I was asking all the locals, I'm sure there's one there. No, there's only a church there. But they've just started to do an archaeological dig. And sure enough, there was a temple to Aphrodite right on the cliff by my home, which is amazing. And also in the closest church, which is called Panagia Petuna, means the flying mother. And they believe that Mother Mary came to that village where I live. And when she put her feet down on that hill, that a spring came up, a holy well, a holy spring.
That's a bit like Athens there with Athena and Poseidon battling it out with the locals there. So Poseidon pulled out a spring, but it happened to be salt water. So he dipped out because Athena brought the olive tree. Yeah, but at Paphos there's a little promontory spot right on the water's edge there where one of the disciples, was it Paul, turned up there.
Excuse me, I'm having a moment.
You carry on. You've done well.
I've done very well.
Okay.
Considering I didn't think I'd get on here today. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Bear with me. Yes, that's correct, Jeffrey. Paul the Apostle was in Paphos. I believe he was executed, unfortunately, in Paphos. But in Salamis, he's excuse me. Take a deep breath. In Salamis, in the northern side, is where Barnaby and Andrew came in. They started their ministry up in Salamis in the northern side, which of course is in in the Turkish side now. And then I've seen you put some brilliant photos up of Larnaca, and excuse me, might be my guide saying shut up, for goodness sake, because I could walk for hours. So in Larnaca, after the crucifixion, because Lazarus had been resurrected, he had to flee Palestine. He had to flee because obviously the Romans were after him. And he made that short journey across the water, and he ended up in Larnaca. And Jeffrey's put a brilliant picture up there of the Larnaca church. And we actually have Lazarus's tomb there, and his body is still there. His remains are still there. He came across and he started his teaching. He started his ministry there in Larnaca. And Andrew and Barnaby heard about his teaching. They heard there was someone ministering Christ's work, and they traveled down to meet him. And they were so delighted and celebrated that he was there. And they said, our mother has been looking for you, meaning Mother Mary, the Panagia, has been looking for you. She will be so happy that you are safe and you are secure. So it's said that, but the locals believe that Andrew and Barnaby made him the first bishop of Cyprus. And they went back to Mother Mary and said, we found Lazarus. He's safe. He's secure. We found him. So she made him, they say here, the bishop's coat. And they said, we'll take it to him. And Mother Mary said, no, I am coming to Cyprus. I am coming to Larnaca. It wasn't called Larnaca then. It was called Kition, I believe. And she traveled to Larnaca to give him his bishop's coat. She would often travel to Larnaca, and my home is near Larnaca, hence why she was in Mazados. And they say in the local area I was that was one of the very first Christian settlements. They also believe that Mary Magdalene visited Lazarus there as well. So when you look at the Bible, there's not lots, but within the Bible, Cyprus is mentioned quite a lot as a retreat for the disciples, the apostles, and the Christ family. So yeah, I feel that I am in the perfect place between Avalon, which holds the Magdalene codes, let's say Magdalene and Avalon, and also Magdalene and Yeshua in Cyprus. So yeah.
Amazing.
We went up to Mount Olympus. We drove up to Mount Olympus. And,
I love Mount Olympus.
Yeah, and we got stopped there at the gates there for the British military's listening post.
Yeah. I find it fascinating because you can be on the beach. I was on the beach a few years ago in Limassol in my bikini. It was November, and then we drove up to Mount Olympus, and it's snow, right?
Yeah,
the difference. Yeah,
amazing. Okay, so I know that we're coming nearer to the end, and I know you've done really well to talk for an hour.
Yeah, gosh, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's perfect. You were going to finish off with a few oracle cards.
Yes,
so,
yes, it would be rude not to.
On this 12-12.
Yes, okay. So I'm going to ask for a 12-12 message for our beautiful listeners and those that are watching. What would the guides and angels and Mary Magdalene like the group to know? Okay, let's see what we have. Pop them down and then I'll show everybody. Well, you cannot make this up, can you?
Go on.
It's hard. Where am I going? Here we go.
Right there. Mary, go down a little bit. Mary Magdalene guides you to practice self-love, number 10.
Yeah. Okay. So, and she's guiding me as well. So this beautiful card is sharing from Mary Magdalene that quite often in life, we go outside of ourselves to think about others. And at this time, it's really crucial because we're so busy with all the Christmas preparations it's really crucial that we take time to rest, we take time to relax, we take time for ourselves, which I've been forced to do because
Yeah.
I've had the flu. So it's been a blessing. It's been a purification. Now, the month of December, there is so much light coming in. There is so many light codes. And when we look at Advent, it's about finding the Christ light within, finding the Magdalene light within. And every single day, there is so much light that is available to us. And you can receive this by meditating, or you can receive it by walking in nature. Doesn't matter what you do, but you need to take that time each day to practice self-love, even for busy mums or, busy businessmen, whatever it is. Take time to practice self-love in order to receive that light, because we're in the time of the Immaculate Conception. What does that mean? Obviously, we're not all Mother Mary having that Immaculate Conception. The Immaculate Conception is for us for the year ahead. So it's a time of purification. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. So that we can bring the light in. And that's another reason why I'm having this wondrous clearing.
Yeah, of course.
Because
I've just finished mine.
Yeah, I think you gave it to me. You're wonderful for sharing. So basically,
Touche.
Practice self-love and to receive the light that's available to us. It's really important. Okay, this is lovely. Here we go.
It's number 12, and it says my
Meraphor.
My what? I didn't finish reading it. Read it out. Sorry.
No, I'll read it out. Number 12 is Meraphor. Excuse me. God, I'm nearly, my voice
You're
is nearly,
hanging in there.
I'm hanging in there, everybody. This is teaching everyone to be really humble, and we're all human.
And we all get the sniffles.
We all get the sniffles, exactly. Meraphor. So it's basically saying, as a Meraphor, you're a guardian of sacred oils. Oh,
I've not heard of that word before. Is that one you made up?
No.
Sorry.
Meraphor means a myrrh bearer.
Right.
And I love that this card had come out, because as we know, before the crucifixion at the Last Supper, Mary Magdalene, it said that Mary Magdalene anointed Yeshua with a spikenard. And all of the people that were working, this we could go off on a tangent, so I've got to summarize here. Myrrh bearers, that particular time, the Hebrews, whether it was the priests that were working in the temples, the Hebrew priests, or whether it was those that were in the traditional lineage of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, many of them worked with essential oils. And they worked with essential oils, as we know, as embalming in Egypt. You've just got back from Egypt, Andrena. So essential oils were the plant medicine of that time. And myrrh was one of the most important oils to them. We know myrrh came, frankincense and myrrh came in Yeshua's, when he was born with the three kings. But myrrh is a very, very powerful oil. I've actually been using it for this, the flu. And all of the women would work with myrrh. The priestesses would work with myrrh. Before you got married, you used to have myrrh, which you would have in a little pouch on your body for 6 months for purification before you got married in that tradition. So the reason this card has come up today is showing people, reminding people that we don't always have to go to pharmaceutical. I'm not saying don't go to your doctor. I want to make that quite clear.
Yeah, quite.
we are complementary therapists, but being a Magdalene is about going to the nature to heal, being in nature, using herbs, using essential oils. And this is a reminder to everybody that they can use essential oils for healing, whether it's in a diffuser, whether it's going for aromatherapy massage, because essential oils are so powerful. And, I've been using Olbus oil. Traditionally when we were younger, we'd use Vicks. All of them have essential oils in them. Okay. Also, for those that are open, anointing yourself each day. I anoint myself each day with various different oils. We can anoint our heart, our womb or hara, our third eye, our wrists, our ankles. Using essential oils for anointing is really good when you're doing spiritual work. It's a form of protection. It raises your vibration. And it's very, very healing, So, yeah, that's the second card. And the third card, very apt. Here we go.
Embody your soul. 43. Your higher self and soul invite you to connect to them on a deeper level.
Yeah. And I think this is a really important card because all of us that are galactic, angelic, and star seeds spent a lot of our life pining to go home. Maybe you, Andrena, have been pining to become a dolphin again. Pining to be back in Lemuria. And that takes us out of our body. We think ascension is leaving our body. Okay, for Yeshua, it might have been leaving his body, going through a transfiguration. But for us, it's not. Our lesson for all of us in humanity is to embody our soul. And the more we embody our soul through spiritual work, whether it's walking in nature, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation, healing, chanting, singing, dancing, the more we embody our soul, that's when the new earth and the dream that you talk of in your show will happen. Because as we all know, we are the rainbow tribe we're waiting for. The star beings are not going to just come and rescue us all.
No,
right?
As we thought.
Well, this is it. We are the freaking star beings. We are the star beings. We're already here. So we've got to connect with our tribe and we've got to embody our souls. And as we embody our soul energy, that's what will create the new earth. And of course, these amazing gems, all the indigo, crystal, rainbow, star beings, children of the sun, Metatron's children, they are crystals and they're coming in and anchoring this light. So that's what that final card means. Embody your soul, So yeah, I hope everybody's enjoyed that message. And it's been a real honor to be on with you and Jeffrey. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so grateful. Sorry about my throat and my flu, but hey,
no sorries. Look, we're very blessed that you came on and you've carried the energy through. Whether you've I mean, on and off last week, so I've had to quickly mute myself, have a coughing fit, and come back on.
Oh, bless you.
So we stayed with yours. So, but no,
well, I say we're human. I don't think I am human. I'm a hybrid human, but I still get all the human symptoms.
Exactly. So thank you so much for people go on your website and get the 12/12 activation and anything else, and all your info's there. So if they want to connect with you, and I've worked with Eloise, and I love the work that she does, and so thank you everybody. So please tune in. It's our last one before Christmas. And
Sally, can she speak with Eloise after? Bless her. That's up to Jeffrey. I don't know what happens.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. And same time, same place next week. And thank you so much, Eloise.
Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey and Andrena. I'm so grateful.
Okay.